I began writing, I think the earliest memory I have of myself writing was in the 3rd grade. I wrote a poem for class and brought it home. My mom read it, she liked it, and she submitted it to this children's anthology for poetry, and it got accepted. I was 8. I was always a storyteller. I felt like that was a good way for me to control my narrative even at a very young age. Since school, I liked learning and everything like that, but school was not easy for me. A lot of mean kids and things like that because I was different, I guess. So I've always kept journals and diaries, and it was just something that was just always innately in me. My original goal with writing was I wanted to be a journalist, print journalism. But I graduated college in 2008, which was a wonderful year for the world and the economy. Newspapers were closing left and right. I had a few offers, but nothing that I was able to take and survive. Poetry was just always something I did. I didn't know you could make a career out of poetry or that other people would care about what you were saying because poetry is so subjective and so personal. I didn't know if I was just writing selfishly for myself. But poetry I kind of just stumbled into full-time a couple years ago when Instagram became what it was. But even my foray into poetry came from my essayist background. Hurricane Sandy decimated where my parents live, where I spent a lot of my life. And I wrote something about that a day after it happened. When our power came back on, I wrote something about it. And I didn't even have social media at the time, and my friends and people I had sent it to via email just started sharing it, and it went viral, and CNN picked it up, and USA Today picked it up, and LA Times picked it up. And those people that liked the piece that I wrote on Sandy were asking me do you have anything else we could read? We would love to read more. So I was just throwing off one-off poems for a while, and it's become books. I think social media, at its best, has connected people and has revitalized poetry. It was a dying art for a very long time. Nowhere near mainstream or anything like that. Bookstores had this much, if that, in their sections, and the poets they did have had been dead for 50 plus years. At its worst, social media is the devil. In 5 minutes when I wake up in the morning, I could read beautiful things about myself and terrible things about myself, and that's how I begin my day sometimes. And it's like, where's the balance in that? So I've had to learn how to unplug a bit and not focus on the negative, focus on the positive. But I do give social media credit for giving writers like myself a platform to share poetry, which has in turn gave it new life and totally revitalized this dying art form. A main theme, especially my newest poetry collection, is the theme of recovery. And that word is automatically assimilated with drug addiction, mental illness, eating disorders. You're in recovery. I do write from a place of being affected by drug addiction. I have drug addiction in my family, and it impacts the family more than you could possibly imagine. I've had to focus on my own self-care and my own recovery. So for every one person that may have a substance use disorder, there's at least a handful of people that are affected. So sometimes I think that the family members are more numerous for every one person who has an addiction. And I think I focus more on recovery in this collection because I wanted people to know that you could go through the worst. You could literally think, I've woken up days thinking well, this is the last day that I could possibly survive. I can't survive another day. And not even from my own pain, but pain, it was the collateral damage of so much for so long that I was how do I even function as a normal 32-year-old woman when my whole life for many years was life or death of people around me. And growing up in that, you develop anxiety and insomnia and everything like that. So I wanted to focus on recovery, and I hope my voice doesn't skip, because in stuff I've been feeling lately, I had to manifest my own hope in that. So it blows my mind when people message me and they're like, stuff I've been feeling lately, so hopeful, thank you for giving me hope, this helped me. Some people have gone as far to say it helped them keep going another day, which is crazy and humbling. But But I wrote Stuff I've Been Feeling lately at the worst point of my life. Like, I had to manifest my own hope, because if I was like, if I don't even make believe that there is hope here, I'm not going to make it. I have to pull myself out of that. And so, and I hope my voice doesn't skip. I am. It's 3 years later, and I'm in a much better, thank God, mind space. And I wanted to show people that you could go through the worst, the absolute worst trauma, and you could still make it to the other side and live a fulfilling, happy life. But in order to do that, you need to hang on, and you need to weather the storm, and you need to develop coping skills, whether it's going to therapy or just talking to someone, and you just need to hold on. And I think in today's climate, there's suicide rates are so high, and drug addiction and overdoses are through the roof, and it's just a scary time. So if I could be that voice to say, like, you know what I've gone through now, and I'm still here, I just hope that helps even like the next person that might be a few steps behind me.